Hey you guys, it's John here. We just got back in town from visiting Chicago. We had such a fun time. We went to go to my friend Clara Joyce Flowers' farm. We did some wedding work. We checked out his flower field. It was just a beautiful time. The weather was a little bit rainy and humid, but that is totally fine. It's definitely a nice change up from the desert. So today we are checking in on some seedlings. We are planting up a few celosia pots that we need to plant for fall. We have some empty pots because we were flipping out some of the Lisianthus, which we need to trim too. We need to trim a ton of Lisianthus, but yeah, we're gonna get some things buttoned up and finished. The weather is gorgeous. It is like low hundreds today, low humidity. You can't ask for a better day in the middle of July in Arizona. So I'll show you guys what we're doing today, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. Nice and easy. I also forgot to mention, I went to the Bowl Trial Garden in Chicago. That was great. We got to meet some amazing people, some amazing vendors, and I got to see all the new flowers that they're coming out for 2025. There were some really, really pretty ones, and well, we're gonna make a video all about that as well, so definitely stay tuned. Kyle is watering all of the flowers. Thank you, Kyle. It is kind of a full-time job this time of year, so we like to do it first thing in the morning, and if we need to water it twice, we'll water it twice in the evening, but everything looks so good. We just made a rearranging video where we redid a lot of the pots, we moved them all around, and reorganized the entire garden, so it looks so good. So, so, so beautiful, you guys. Today's goal is to pot up all of these empty pots that we have available with some nice plants for fall. Everything on this side is kind of getting staged to go into the garden in just a little bit, or it's getting phased out. But these celosias look so good. They've been filling in so fast. I do notice that if it's in a little bit more shade, the plants actually grow a little bit bigger and they're not as dark. So this is really good if you want to like bulk up your plants, putting them in a little bit more shadier locations. This still gets like 8 hours, probably 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. Hi, Rosie. Thanks for joining us. What's up, baby girl? She's been eating some grass, but anyways, these plants look really good, really healthy. We've been getting them some good fertilizer, and yeah, this one's been in full sun, and as you can see, it is much darker and a little bit smaller. So we'll be planting them up here, this pot up with some more dragon's breath celosias, and kind of planting up some more things that can take all of the heat. This is a intense celosia. It's that purple one. These have been growing nicely. We do need to trim up this Lisianthus that we took out of the container garden. Just clean it up, trim it up. They'll look nice and tidy in just a little bit. And then we'll pot up some things. I'm thinking millet and some coxcomb celosias, because that's something we don't have yet planted in these container gardens. So we're gonna grab some plants, and I'll show you guys kind of what we're doing. We did have some Lisianthus in here. A lot of them did kind of die out, but we will be cleaning up this pot, dumping out some of this dirt. It is a couple years old, so it's really like gritty. I'll kind of show you like what that looks like. Do you guys see that? It's very fine dirt. It's kind of like Play-Doh almost. And the reason why we don't use old dirt like this is because it's been decomposing, so these particles are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so when that happens, it can actually clog the drainage hole a lot quicker, and just causes drainage issues. You want nice, loose soil that's a little bit bigger in size like that. That's some really good soil. So anyways, this happens every couple years. These Lisianthus pots don't get flipped every single year, so this pot's probably like 2 or 3 years old, so it's just time for some new dirt. But all we do is really just dump it in our lawn. We mow it and then dump it, and then it'll just soak right into our lawn really quickly. We just kind of spread out a nice thin layer, and this is just the best way to that we have found to get rid of our old dirt. Let's go grab some plants. Okay, so let's grab some celosias first. These are the Brainiac celosias. Look at that. They look pretty good. They look pretty healthy. So let's grab a flat of these. I'm sorry, these are not the Brainiacs. These are the Dracula. Draculas are supposed to look like the Brainiac with that big, beautiful coxcomb flower, but on a slightly taller plant. So the Brainiacs get about 6 inches tall. The Dracula is supposed to get about 12 to 14 inches tall. So it's gonna get a little bit of height. So we're gonna put it in a little bit bigger of a container than we would the Dracula, or the Brainiac. Okay, so while Kyle is filling all of these pots up with soil, we're gonna grab even more plants to fill in the rest of these containers. Okay, we're gonna grab some of this millet here, but we're gonna grab the big ones. Some of them are kind of small, so we're gonna let those grow out just a little bit longer before we plant them up. So we're just gonna switch them out for some bigger ones in here and get them nice and. Let's plant the biggest size whenever we have the plants available, just because the smaller ones can just wait a little bit longer if we need to use them for a different project. We always just plant the biggest ones first. Well, how cute is this shirt? Arizona gardeners are hot. We got this from my friend Angela from Growing in the Garden. She's another Arizona gardener, and I think it's literally the cutest thing. Grabbed one more flat with some miscellaneous things like the dragon's breath, intense, and I think that's it. So we have our Dracula coxcombs, and again, these are gonna get about 12 to 14 inches tall. So we're gonna pack these in actually fairly tight because these plants only make one bloom, but it's gonna get quite massive. So I think 3 plants in this 12-inch pot is gonna be perfect. And if they're hanging outside the pot, it's totally fine. When you're planting things in containers, you can space them a little bit closer together because you have all of that room outside of the pot too. And we want these to fill in quite big. And if these plants are a little bit tighter and these blooms are a little bit smaller than they would if it was just a standalone pot, that's totally fine. It's still gonna give us some really good coverage and some really good bloom height in here. So here we have it. They're about, I don't know, six inches apart. That's gonna be perfect. Typically, I would plant them about 9 inches apart if they were in the ground, but usually our rule is like 30% closer, 20 to 30% closer in containers. So these are good. We're gonna plant up the rest of them. We're gonna do 3 pots of these, and I'll show you guys what we're planting after that. Okay, next on this list are the intense Celosias. We still have a ton of these planted in our garden right now, but we had some extra plants, so we thought we would pot up a few more of them. Again, these are these really pretty flowers with a dark purple wheat style bloom to them. Aren't these gorgeous? Ugh, I absolutely love them. I mean, their foliage is also really gorgeous too. So we're gonna pot up these 2 pots. We have about 4 other pots on the side of our house too. So we're gonna pot these up and get them going for you guys. Are gonna pinch all of them. So pinching just requires pinching out the center growth, and then they're gonna branch out really well from here. These are gonna give us some really good lateral side shoots that are gonna make a nice full plant. Pinching really does encourage more branching, which encourages more blooms, and that's what we want in our gardens. Okay, so we got our millets here. This one is called Copper Prince. It makes these beautiful, I think they're called husks, but it's kind of like growing a corn plant. These seedlings look exactly like a corn seedling, but they do branch out at the base quite a bit. And then they make these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous textural elements in the garden. I absolutely love growing them. This variety is called Copper Prince, so it's gonna have these dark strapping foliage with these gorgeous, gorgeous husks on them. So we'll definitely show you guys what they look like when they grow in, but they are absolutely beautiful. We grew some in our cut flower garden a few years ago, and it was a Purple Majesty, so they get a little bit taller than this variety, but it smelled like maple syrup, you guys. It was so fun and so cool, especially adding them to bouquets. And then they dried really well too, and they still kept their scent, which is absolutely incredible. We added them to wreaths, we added them to all sorts of arrangements. It was just so beautiful and kind of just perfect for fall. We're gonna finish up planting these millets, and then we have one more flower to plant. The last flower we're planting today is more Dragon's Breath Celosias. We never have enough of these in our garden, so we're just popping them into this pot. We're shoving about 4 of them in this 16-inch pot. They're gonna grow in really well and kind of fill up the space quite nicely. Finish potting all of these up, and I'll show you guys what they all look like at the end. Finished planting all of the containers, but we need to water all of the seedlings now because it is getting hot and these flowers are thirsty. Look at this coxcomb though. It's gonna get a lot bigger than this, but this was the Twisted Orange, the dark leaf variety that is new for 2025. I am absolutely obsessed. So I'm so excited to see how that one's going to grow out. And look at that. Look at this one. Looks like there's like a yellow and an orange one on there. How cool is that? So we did pot up 5 pots of them earlier this summer with the twisted orange. I'm so excited for these. We grew the regular dark orange variety, but this one's the dark leaf variety. So I am excited to see the darker leaves on this plant. These are the other intense flowers that we planted, the intense Celosias that we planted about probably like 2 weeks ago. As you can see, we did pinch it. We do have some side lateral growth there. We didn't pinch this one because it already had some branching to it. So they look pretty good. This one's one plant that we planted in this pot. We did pinch it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stems now, which is absolutely lovely. And yeah, I can't wait for all of these babies to grow in. Do have this pot that's over by our stair step bench that needs to get planted up as well. So we're gonna clean it out. In here, the soil is really good, so we're gonna leave the soil, but I think we're gonna do some dragon's breath celosia and maybe some sweet potato vines. We wanna cover the edges of this pot because the paint is kind of chipping away. So we're gonna tuck those in to kind of make it look a little bit better. Grab some dragon's breath. Oh, we need 2 hands. Okay, so Kyle wanted to do a mixed container. So we're gonna add in some purple Celosias back in here, and then we're gonna do a row of dragon's breath in here. We're gonna do probably 3 of them here. Look how beautiful that is. And then we're gonna add in a layer of these beautiful sweet potato vines just to cover up, like I said, the edges of the pot. And that's gonna be so pretty. We're gonna finish this up and show you guys what it looks like at the end. Okay, so we put 3 sweet potato vines in. We had the more bronzy color, which will be perfect for fall. 3 dragon's breath Celosias, 1 intense Celosia in the center, and then we have 1 of the Dracula coxcomb up front because it's gonna get only a foot tall. We had these 2 Kalanchoes in here, but they weren't really doing much, so I don't really expect them to really survive. They're probably gonna get swallowed up a little bit, but that's totally okay. They're gonna look so pretty. They're gonna look so beautiful once they're all filled in. These are all of the pots that we potted up today and last week, but dragon's breath celosia is all in one spot. We have the millet here, we have the Dracula coxcombs in the front here, and then we have the intense celosias over here. Again, this gets a little bit of afternoon sun, about 6 to 8 hours of sunlight here. We're gonna give them some really good fertilizer to make sure that they are blooming their best come fall. But you wanna make sure the plants get the biggest that they can before the fall, so that's why giving them good fertilizer will help encourage all of that growth. So we're gonna trim up these Lisianthus for the day, and then we're gonna be done. So you can trim Lisianthus 2 different ways. You can give it a hard prune, or you can just trim off the dead flowers. A hard prune, you're gonna want to go down to the base of the plant here, and then snip it kind of towards the base. You could either do it above the 2nd or the 3rd leaf set, count from the bottom. So I see 1, 2, 3, we're gonna do that, and then you can snip it that way. And that way it's gonna flush out new growth from the branches here and down here and make nice new stems. The plant itself is gonna be a little bit shorter, but that's great, especially if you want good cut flowers. You're gonna want to cut them down here for today because we're gonna give them a little bit of height. We're just gonna snip off the dead flowers. So we're gonna come in here and just trim back to the next stem and then just trim it up. This is gonna clean up the plant and make it look nice and tidy and help encourage new buds, because there are some new buds towards the tips of the flowers here. So pinching these off is gonna encourage new flowers from branching towards the top of the plant. So we're gonna clean up the rest of these plants, and then we'll keep you guys updated on how all of them look. Alrighty, you guys, we ended up getting a lot of them trimmed up. We just cut them in the middle of the plant because it was a lot of work cutting them, and I realized that they did need to be cut down just a little bit because a lot of the branches were a little bit broken. So we gave it a good chop down here, right above the peony cage, and it's just gonna flesh out really good for us. Usually don't hard prune the perennial Lisianthus every single year just because it's kind of stressful on the plant. But when I was growing cut flowers, obviously we would hard prune just to harvest all the flowers. So we really don't cut them all the way down to the base anymore. But anyways, you guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.